a Pete Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like...
What an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around, and I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 209, and it's Ask Pete. This is the episode where the shoe is on the other foot. Chris Stone, my legendary producer, will ask me questions, but I have to pay the bills really, really quickly. If you haven't read my book, Sell a Million, 101 Tips for Furniture and Mattress Stores to Sell Another $1 Million or More this year. The best compliment I ever got on this book was from my dear friend, Doug Stewart, who said, take the word furniture or mattress out of this book, and it's just a great marketing book. And it is a marketing and a business book. It is not a sales book. If you want a sales book, I just wrote this gem. Miles and Miles of Retail Selling Greatness, How to Sell More Mattresses this year. It's going to be published. Let me see. Yeah, thanks, Chris. You're saving me. It's going to be published February 17th on Amazon. Do not miss this. Guys, I figured out this, guys and gals, I should say. I've traveled over 2 million miles in 43 years, and I have sat at the feet of some legendary top 100s, some great retailers, and I've learned so much about selling. Plus, my first 9 years that I was a retail salesperson, I guess you could call me kind of a sales geek. I'm constantly trying to learn about selling. And then I looked at the best of everything that I've written over the years. And then I added some really great authors, Jeff Giannakavo, Brent Batterman, Scott Vaughn, my friend, Randy Thompson, teaching us how to sell adjustable beds. My friend and my boss, Mark Klingenberg, how to sell smart beds. So much here, guys. Grab this book. It will give you 2 to 3 years worth of sales meetings for like $20. It's ridiculously stupid. Also like to thank my friends and sponsors at the Mattress Industry Network group. If you want to build, market, sell, and succeed, this is the place to do it. It's a free Facebook group. Join us, over 23, maybe 2,400 strong now. Like to thank Steve and Greg for sponsoring my show. You don't have to be in this business alone. If you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry, this is the place. Hit that QR code, and I try to get in there a couple times a week, and that's a Freudian slip. And it's just a great group, guys. So join it. And without a further ado, welcome to the show. The shoe's on the other foot. My great producer, Mr. Chris Stone, is going to be in the producer and the host seat for the show, and I'm just going to sit back and answer questions.
You make it sound like you're just going to hang out, like you're having a Mai Tai by the poolside. Speaking of, those of you who are at market, maybe came back from market, already. Let us know how it was for you. These Ask Pete episodes are a lot of fun, and a lot of times people, Pete, are so busy that joining Monday at noon Eastern is just something they can't do. So we just say, hey, listen, if you can't make the show and you do have a question, then you can email Pete Primeau at ameritech.net and just put Ask Pete in the subject line. And that's what the show's for, is we'll go through those emails and answer questions for anything. Well, not anything, but it's got to be related
Almost anything.
Almost anything, right? Exactly. Well, Pete, are we ready to rock with these questions? All right, let's do that, and let me click on a few things here, and we'll get this party started right. So, question number 1 is from Curious in Oklahoma. Pete, I really enjoy your show. I'm a big fan. This is a weird question. Okay. What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done as a rep? Oh, this ought to be good.
Well, wow. The most embarrassing thing. When I was working for CERTA, I was in a small town, Napanee, Indiana, and it was Crystal Valley Furniture and Mattress, a small house in Amish country in Amish country in Indiana. And I was ready to say goodbye, and I fainted. And I woke up, and wow. I'm on the ground. It's the only time in my life I fainted. So now here's like TMI. I'm deathly afraid of needles. And so like, it's amazing that I don't faint when, I have to have a physical or I have an operation. I mean, it takes everything I can not to faint. And I've never fainted except at one time. And now here's the funny part. We already had our visit. It was a great visit. And Rich was, a great guy who I considered a friend of mine, and was really helpful to a young sales rep. Always was looking out for me. And he kept my head from hitting a sharp object as I was saying goodbye to him. So that's my most embarrassing. I do have a better story, though. That's kind of boring.
Bonus.
This one is almost the most embarrassing. I am with 2 sets of customers. One is mine, one's not. And I'm with my sales managers at CERTA. And this is years ago. I remember like it was yesterday, Chris. We were at the Chop House in Chicago, which go to all the chop houses you want. That's the best one I've ever been to. So the Chop House in Chicago, the bill was like $3,000 or $5,000. I mean, there was like 15, 20 people there.
Wow.
And my boss, Barbara, leans over, whispers in my ear and says, Pete, I hate to do this to you, but somehow I forgot my purse. Do you mind taking care of the bill? And I'll reimburse you first thing tomorrow. I'll make sure Jay gets it out to you right away. Jay was our controller. Mm-hmm. He was a great guy. Now, I said, sure. So the bill comes, and this I know for a fact. I don't have one credit card that I can put this big of a bill on. I looked at the size of the bill and I about fainted. One thing I knew is that I didn't know. So I actually had to, I had to figure out how it took 3 credit cards, and I had to do it in a way that wasn't obvious to everyone at the table. So this was quick thinking for a young Pete Primeau. Be easy now, but back then I was actually proud of myself. I pulled it off. And so I saw the waitress coming over to me because Barbara had already said, "Hey, give him the bill," right?
Wow.
And I said, I grabbed it from her and I like walked back away from the table.
Yeah.
And I said, "Here, let me take care of this with you." And I told her very quietly, about 20 or 15 feet away from the table, put X amount on this card, X amount on this card, and the remainder on this card. And please don't screw them up because it won't work the other way. And so that was almost the most embarrassing thing that happened. But the good Lord was with me that night, and I thought quickly on my feet. So
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get a call from some of my colleagues over the years that'll say, "Pete, no, this was your most embarrassing moment."
Yeah.
So I'll look forward to that and eating some humble pie. But thank you, Curious in Oklahoma. That was really a fun question.
Yeah, I got to thank Curious in Oklahoma too. I got a good chuckle out of that. You know, the crazy thing about having embarrassing moments, Pete, is like, you know, they're never as bad, you know, as you think they are when you think about them later or at the time. You're like, oh my gosh, this was just horrifying. And most of the time, people don't even remember it. You know, they just don't. You know, other people, they just are like, and when you remind them of it, they're like, oh yeah, they didn't think it was that big of a deal. So it's like, you know, hey, everyone, just get over it. But that was a cool one. So this one here is from Newbie in Idaho. We're about to go to Vegas market later this week. It's our first time at this market. Could you give us some pointers?
That's a good one. I am going to start drawing pictures.
Uh-oh.
So here's the very first thing. Think about your store. Think about your merchandising. Think about your actual products within that merchandise, and think about your display. Think about your sales training that you do with your salespeople, and think about the service that you give to your customers. And ask yourself, what are customers coming in and asking for that I don't have? What are my salespeople bringing to me and asking me for that I don't have? And how often does it happen? The other piece to it, and it's more important today than ever before, is this financing piece. It's almost always the missing piece. When you go to market, don't just shop for shiny new objects. Shop for new ideas on display. Shop for a better finance company, shop for a long-term finance company, shop for a no credit finance company, shop anything that says finance, and talk to other dealers. This is probably one of my biggest pieces of advice I can give to somebody that's new. Make friends and influence people. Right? The Dale Carnegie, that was Dale Carnegie, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Try to create your own tribe. If you don't know how to do that, join us on Fridays. Fridays at 1:00. We have Win the Weekend with Pete and friends. I post the link for that Zoom call every Friday morning, and it's always at 1:00. You will meet people, but meet people in person at market as well. So it's not just about product. For you to be successful as a store, yes, you have to have good products that are well merchandised. You have to have a display that is good. You need to have a website that's good. And you have to have competitive finance options. You should never get boxed out of a deal because you didn't have longer term financing, or you didn't have no credit check financing, or whatever the newest financing thing is of the day, or you didn't have a waterfall finance where, you know, customers get frustrated when they get turned down. With a waterfall, you put the information in once and it goes through all the options. I think you can load up to 3, 4, 5 even finance companies. They vary, but look for a waterfall financing platform that works for you. Your salespeople and the feedback that you get from your customer is your guiding light. And so if you've heard, you know what, we don't have an extra firm bed at $9.99 3 or 4 times in the last month, and you've been, don't bother me with that. Well, now's the time before you go to market, maybe a month before you go to market. When I was at Kronheim's Furniture, and this is, oh my Lord, Chris, you're going to have to help me with the math. I was at Kronheim's Furniture from 1988 to 1991, halfway through 1991. We had to write a market letter to the owner of the company. So there's like 50 or 60 of us in 4 different stores. Every salesperson was not invited, wasn't asked. It was demanded. If you didn't write your market letter, you might as well turn in your resignation because it was mandatory. You don't work for Kronheim's Furniture anymore. So ask your people individually, not in a group setting. And I'll tell you why not in a group setting. In a group setting, there is social pressure on an individual salesperson to conform to what the other salespeople say or think. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We want out of the box, creative thinking. We want that salesperson's pure experience on a piece of paper. I am missing, a green sectional. Now, we were never missing a green sectional, but you get my point. Something specific and the reason for it. And I always thought, I always felt like I was part of Kronheim's Furniture because they really listened to us. And then when they came back from market and they started to get the new goods in and they started to advertise them in the circulars, they would bring us in and say, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 salesperson asked for this, and here it is, and it's featured in our circular, like in front of the whole company. So now it's basically, you asked for this, now you better sell it. Because we got it. So there's a lot of things that you need to do before market. Here are the specific strategies at market. Repeating myself, but number 1, don't just be looking for merchandise. Look at displays. Look for better financing options. Look at sales training options. Does somebody have a new book? Somebody have a podcast? Networking, creating a bigger network where you can use other people's experience. We always hear about using other people's money. Use other people's experience, and that way you don't have to make the mistake.
Yeah.
And then here's my number one thing aside from that, very technical: wear comfortable shoes. Tennis shoes is perfectly acceptable at market. I have dress up tennis shoes that I wear now after watching buyers for 15 years in really comfortable tennis shoes. I finally smartened up and I took a page out of their book. So you don't have to be dressed to the nines. Definitely wear footwear that's super comfortable because you're going to walk a lot. And then here's the other thing. Do not fill your schedule to the point where there's no wiggle room. Have some open areas in your schedule. So our temptation is to fill every spot on our schedule, hour by hour or half hour by half hour appointments. Don't do that. Fight the urge. Really narrow it down to what's important. Maybe you have a vendor who's not making his or her deliveries the way they should. maybe there's another vendor that could make those deliveries and it's similar price and similar product, and you can improve. So look specifically for, let's say you're going to go for 2 or 3 days. You should have no more than 10 to 15 appointments. The rest should be kind of talk to people, see what's hot at market. I'll never forget this as long as I live. Bill Daniels, who is the president of Furniture Fair, and then Dan Evans, who is a general manager for Big Sandy's many years ago. It could have been 20, 25 years ago. They were in the hallway, and here, my perception is they're arch enemies. They're going to gouge each other's eyes out, or it's going to look like a pro wrestling match out there. These two are helping each other. They're saying, blah, 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 line looks good. Make sure you go to that line. They look really strong, this market. They have this and that and the other. Make sure you look at that, Dan. And then Dan's saying, you know, saying to, oh my God, what is Mr. Daniels' first name? I forgot. At Furniture Fair. Anyway, he's saying, you know, make sure you don't miss this. And there's a new line you should be looking at too. And I was amazed at the camaraderie and the cooperation between these two dealers. And they're both top 100s. And so it really surprised me. And I said to myself, but that's the way it should be. Like, if we are competitors, I shouldn't be afraid of you. You shouldn't be afraid of me. We should understand we both have strengths. We both have weaknesses. We probably appeal to different pieces of the market. And so don't be afraid to ask people that you know, what's hot? What should I see? And ask your reps. Use your reps as a resource. So don't fill your schedule, wear comfortable shoes, listen to your salespeople, and really, really make an effort to network. Those are my tips for market.
Wow. Solid. I guess my assumption was, as we were about to roll into another question here related to market, was, you know, that it was, because I've never been, and that it was, you know, just people showing off their new products, which is certainly a large portion of it. And it's not just mattresses. There's furniture. There's all kinds of, home related things that are happening. But you mentioned finance options. So there are other companies there besides manufacturers and reps and things like that. There's, for things that would equip an independent retailer in general related to finance and things.
There's website companies, there's finance companies, there's sales training companies there.
Interesting.
That do sales training. So there's all kinds of things. And oh, Chris, thank you. You just saved this whole question.
Okay.
One of the best things that are offered at markets are the seminars. They're 100% free. They're done by experts. And I asked Steve Anschutz, who's out of the furniture business, but he's still maybe holding on in the mattress business. He's really kind of moved into the moving business, actually. But I said to Steve, you really got good fast. How did that happen? He goes, Pete, I didn't know anybody, and I just went to the seminars. He goes, I would go to entire markets and really visit very few spaces. I would just sit all day in the seminar hall, and unless somebody had something that was completely irrelevant or super high end, I would just, hang out there. And so there are free seminars almost all day long at markets. So get on the Market Authority's website, find out when these seminars are. Don't miss these seminars. You see a guy like Bob Munkle, he's doing a free seminar. If you miss it, I'm sorry, you're an idiot, because Bob Munkle is rarefied air. He is the best mattress sales trainer right now in the business. Brent Batterman will probably beat him at some point, but right now, Bob still wears the crown.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. Okay, great. So we have another question here from Confused. And Confused is asking, this is another market-related question. Looking forward to market, sometimes our new introductions don't do as well as we'd hoped. I feel we're missing something. We've tried spiffs and higher commissions to get our salespeople's attention. We have even tried contests for our salespeople. What are we missing?
Yeah, it goes right back to what I said, answering the previous question. What you're probably missing, I don't really have enough information to really give you a great answer. So if I'm missing the mark somehow, call me at 419-560-3169. Give me more specifics and I'll give you a better answer. But this is my stab at it based on 43 years of experience. If you're missing, you think it's a home run and it's not. First of all, you got to understand this. Not everything that you buy at market is going to be a home run. That's number one. But the biggest thing that I have seen goes right back to the previous question. Bring everybody into the market plan and a month ahead of market and ask them for their market letter. Hey, what are we strong at? What are we weak at? What do we need to improve? And then they would actually, at Cronheim's, they'd list the categories. They would say, what do we need in bedroom sets? What do we need in living room sets? What do we need in mattresses? What are we missing in dining room? What are we missing in this category, that category, and the other? And so you could do the same thing, even if you're a sleep shop. Obviously, a sleep shop is going to have a lot of mattresses. You're going to have a lot of adjustable bed bases. You're going to have a lot of sleep necessities. That would be your protectors, your pillows, and your sheets, and or comforters. So you could break those into separate categories and create an outline for your salespeople and say, here's your homework. I need you. There is no idea that's out of bounds. I would like you to specifically share with me anything a customer has asked us for that we don't have. I would include financing. I would include our website. Is our website up to par? I mean, this isn't easy to do, because if you know your website is not up to par and you need to bring it, it kind of like hurts, because you're about to go 15 for 15, every salesperson telling you, no, since you brought it up, our website sucks. Okay, that's good. That's a start. Now tell me specifically what you think we need more of and less of to be more successful in this area, whether it's the website, whether it's financing, whether it's mattress selection and or types of mattresses or price points. We don't go high enough. We don't go low enough. Details. The more input you get from more people, the better. Include your reps in your pre-market discussions. Try to get out of them. Now, not sometimes our companies don't share with us exactly what they're doing. They will give us general guidelines, but they don't give us all the particulars. We got to wait for our sales meeting at market to get the exact pricing, to get the exact spec, to get everything, all the details worked out. But what you're probably missing is you're not starting early enough and you're not getting enough people involved in the planning part of it. And that means your salespeople, and that means your sales reps. The other piece to this is, it seems like you're doing it, so make a big deal out of your new introductions And it should be something like this. Folks, you asked for it. We hunted it down. We found it at market. It was over in the corner of the C building on the 14th floor. We almost missed it, but we got it. And here it is. And it is the best version of the XYZ in the market. And here's why. And by the way, here's our rep who represents this company who's going to tell you more about it. Make a big deal about it. Buy them breakfast, buy them lunch, buy them dinner, make it a separate meeting for the introduction. And yes, spiffs and increased commissions and sales contests, they're helpful, but not as important as saying, and by the way, Mary and Joe and Tom and Christine asked for this. So thank you for asking for it. It's here. And happy selling. Like, give them credit in front of the whole company that this was their idea, and make them really, really proud, and really reinforce this idea of ownership. We're not in business as a silo independent of our people. We are creating this business with our people, and you're part of it. And we need you to take ownership. This was your idea. We're doing it. Let's get on this horse and let's ride. So that's what I would say on that one. If I missed something, there's additional information I should know, just call me 419-560-3169.
There's the phone number for those that are watching visibly and scrambling to write it down. It sounds to me like, going and I go to a number of conventions myself, and I think it's always good to remember, hydrate, take care of yourself. I mean, you're at,
a good one.
You talked about comfortable, having comfortable shoes because you're going to need it. Yeah. Don't forget to drink a lot of water. Don't forget to, to have a meal here and there, like you're supposed to, because you'll end up and don't overdrink on the first night. Like things are like, it's easy to it seems just really simple, but you forget about that stuff when you're out and you're meeting people and you're going to all these events, and all of a sudden you're like, did I eat lunch? When's the last time I had a drink of water? Like those are things you got because, a day or two into it, you're like, why am I so tired? Why am I so exhausted? And it will affect everything else. It will affect your sleep, obviously, but it's going to affect your effectiveness, at being able to, to close, or to be able to learn, or to be able to do those things that you wanted to do when you first set out at it.
And not to be a party pooper, but it's hard to soar with the Eagles in the morning if you were out hooting with the Owls last night. So there's a fine line there. There have been a lot of great relationships over a drink and over a nice meal. A lot of relationships cemented, but realize that there are limits. And also this, especially, I cannot tell you how many great salespeople and even VPs of sales who have been fired because of their conduct at market. So really take heed and really take care of yourself. Ask yourself how I'm feeling, and ask yourself, what time do I normally go to bed? I normally go to bed at 9 or 10. It's 11. I need to get to bed because you know what? I got to be in that showroom by 7 or 8 tomorrow morning. And I have to be at my best. Here's one of the ironies, right? We're in this business of selling better sleep. And what do we not do at market? We don't sleep. And you have to fight for it. It's not always easy. But I love Chris's point about hydration. And you ask yourself throughout the day, how do I feel? Because there's snacks in almost every showroom, and you don't want to be stuffed with too much food. But at the same time, we kind of get in this like little habit of saying no, 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 no. But you know what? Sometimes you should have a little snack to keep your blood sugar, nice and level. So, and here's the other little tip. Don't eat crappy food. There's always really great food at market. So learn the spaces that have the best food. BIA B1118 has great food. I will testify. And I'll tell you this: Dream Fit, C1544 is amazing. They've always got great food. So don't come there just for the food, but those are two little helpful tidbits on food for you at market. Don't pay for food at market if you own a store. You can go there and not spend a dime for real, and keep yourself hydrated and keep yourself well fed in a nutritious way, not a piggy way.
Right.
Because I've done that too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, you start in on the sugar, and then you're doing the crash, and then you have to eat some more, and then you're crashing again.
You're
And
slamming that late
like
coffee. Yeah.
it's like the waves of the ocean, and you can't be like that at market. You've got to be on point, and you got to be sharp for every encounter, whether you're a retailer or you're a rep. So
Lots of good market hacks right here from a guy who's been. How many markets have you been to, Pete?
well,
If you had to put it, like, is it too many to count, or
no, actually, you take 43 years, you take away the first 9. What's that give you? 34 years times 2 is 68. Probably times another 2. Probably right around 150 markets.
Jeez.
Between 2 in Vegas, 2 in High Point, and for years there was 1 in Tupelo. There was actually 2 in Tupelo in their heyday. So there have been years where I've gone to 5 markets.
Wow.
Yeah, not anymore. I have to do at least 1. Usually end up doing 2, sometimes 3. So, and that's without the buy-in groups. You know, you got buy-in groups too. Oh, that goes back to the first question. Guys, shop. If you don't belong to a buy-in group, shop the market, shop the buy-in groups. There's great buy-in groups, whether it's Brand Source or there's Nationwide. Our friends, Steve and Greg, have it's beyond a buy-in group. It's called Midas. And that is definitely something you should be looking at. Brand Source, Nationwide, NMG, or Midas. Those are buying group or like buying groups that you can get product discounts. You can get really good finance rates. But more than that, that kind of hooks you into this network of people, of like-minded other business owners that you can pull over at lunch, breakfast, or dinner, and you have a friend in the business. And taking advantage of these buying groups is just a huge thing that a lot of people miss. So if you don't belong to a buying group, shop the buying groups, find a buying group to belong to, and ask around, ask your reps their opinions, and also ask your friends that are in the industry about which buying group they belong to and why.
All right. So segueing off of market, we've got a question here from Petrified in Pennsylvania. Hey, Pete, I'm a sales rep like you. I've watched you for years and admire the many stories I've heard about you. I need some advice. I feel like I'm in jeopardy. My boss is asking me lots of questions, and I am nervous that I might be fired if I can't turn things around quickly. I feel less confident, and I'm afraid it shows to my dealers. What should I do to save my job?
Wow. Oh, that's a tough one. I'd be lying to tell you I've never felt those feelings. I have felt those feelings, and let me tell you what I've done when I felt those feelings. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was 2 years into working for United Sleep Products. I was working for Paul Sullivan, who was a general manager, and Tom Neiman, and I felt like I was in jeopardy. And I asked Paul in person, face to face, am I in trouble? And he asked me, No, I didn't say that. I was a little bit more direct in my younger years. I said, this is funny. I said, Paul, are you going to fire me? And he goes, do you want me to fire you? I go, no, I don't want you to fire me. I was, well, why would you ask me that question that way? I said, well, I came in and I went through the territory and I found out that this other sales rep made all kinds of promises. I told Tommy it's going to take at least 1 or 2 years to even start to move the needle, and it might take 3. He seemed like he was okay. I barely talked to you, Paul, and I don't know where you're at. I you know, if you're on the verge of firing me, I guess I need to know so I can find another job, or if I'm close and I can give it a little bit more effort, even though I think I'm giving it everything I got, I can always give it a little bit more effort. You know, where am I at, Paul? And he said to me something that was amazing. He said, Pete, we understand exactly what's been happening in your territory. We know exactly what happened before you got there. And we knew it was going to take 2 or 3 years to dig out of it. So no, you are not in jeopardy. And I would just tell you to do this one thing. And he actually, and I'm going to use a name because he's a dear friend of mine and he won't be offended. Rick Lynch was in a similar position in Indiana. And Rick ended up being an absolute legend. He was in the top 3 or 4 reps for this company for like 14 years. And I was there 11 years before our owner sold the business to private equity. It's another subject for another day. But getting back to this, he said, I want you to find another line. He goes, do you have another line? I said, no, Paul, you guys have been giving me guaranteed money. So I thought that I couldn't get another line. He goes, listen, I don't want you to get another mattress line. I want you to get a bed frame line. I want you to get a furniture line. I want you to get any kind of line that has any business to it. And I want you to overservice those customers for that line. And then what I want you to do is when the timing is right, you will see the lay of the land. You're a professional, Pete. You know where the openings are. You'll see the openings because you have a reason to be in the account. When you go into the account and you have no business being in the account, everybody's got their red flags up. But when you are there because you're their Albion frame rep, you're a friend, you're part of their business. And you can learn more about their business in one visit than you could in 10 visits when you are not part of that company. And, you know, our friend Rick Lynch was doing okay, but not great. And once he got another line, he started to just explode. And that's what I want you to do. And so that's what I did. And I got another line. I overserviced all the customers, and it was a good customer list. It was like, there's like 50 customers on this list, and they barely bought anything from this line, but it didn't matter because I serviced them. I became friends with them. I saw the openings, and I started to just open one dealer after the other. And it was amazing. Within 2 years, I was a top rep in the company. So I can tell you that I don't know how many lines you carry right now. And I'm probably giving you the absolute wrong advice if you only have one line. But the lessons in my story that I just shared with you are this. Confront it head on. When you say, I feel less confident and I am afraid it shows to my dealers, I can guarantee you that it shows to your dealers. Yeah. Your lack of confidence, your tentativeness, your lack of conviction. You don't even know if you make a sale, if you're going to get paid on it because you might get fired. That's the way you're feeling. And so you have to confront your boss. And you have to say, I'm concerned about the questions that you've been asking me. Am I in jeopardy? And if I am in jeopardy, do you want me to work to try to save this? Because I want to. But you're my boss. You hold all the cards. Without your help, I'm not going to have success. So if you want this to work, I'm all ears. If you have ideas, can you travel with me? Can you help me so that I can be a better salesperson and so that I can have more success with your line? So confront it head on, because what you're doing now, you may not have. I didn't have a problem with Paul, but I thought I had a problem with Paul, and because he didn't communicate with me at all, I thought he was about to fire me. Yeah. And then I asked him that, are you going to fire me? So you have to confront it head on. And then after that, if you're a multi-line rep, you've probably been saying no to some other lines. Stop saying no and start saying yes, especially if you can learn who some of the dealers are. If you've been working your territory hard, you know what accounts carry what product lines. Even if I'm a mattress guy primarily, I know the furniture lines my guys carry. I pretty much know almost every line my stores carry. I act like Columbo, like I don't know, but I do know. Trust me, I know. And so you need to have that knowledge of your territory, who carries what. And you probably have a friend. And so here's your friend who owns a store. You need to say to him or her, hey, friend, if a really good line comes available, I'm not just a mattress guy, or I'm not just an upholstery guy. I worked in furniture stores before. I know all aspects of furniture. If a good line becomes available, if you're comfortable doing it, could you throw my name in the hat? And could you also let me know that it's available so that I could pursue it? And I am going to tell you this right now. I cannot tell you how many lines over the years that me and Nick both had recommendation. Nick's my business partner. We both had recommendations from different dealers to the same VP of sales. And, it happens, and it happens without you even asking for it, when you really bend over backwards and you really care about the customer's business. So overserve your dealers, give them more attention than they probably deserve for the amount of business they're giving you, but overserve them so that you become friends, so that if they're ever in a position to recommend you, you're the first rep at the top of their mind that comes to their mind. You're at the top of the list as really great reps that would do a really great job with a new line, or a line that's become available that might be an absolute home run line that's been around forever and does a great job. So, and I think there's another point here that I'd like to make. Can you pull that back up, Chris? Selling better sleep in Georgia. Okay. You should always be looking to upgrade your lines. So your manufacturers are always looking to upgrade their representation. If a rep became available that could get them into 2 or 3 top 100s, they're going to drop you if you can't do it. So you need to be the rep that can get them into the top 100s and that would recommend you. When a top 100 recommends a rep, they usually get the line. So you should be working as hard as you possibly can, doing as much as you can for your dealer, and making sure that you're upgrading your lines, just like your lines are looking to upgrade their representation. You need to be looking for the best lines. I'm tired.
No, Tired of giving great advice. I love the point you made earlier, Pete, about, taking the bull by the horns and go head on and use the word confront. But have that, however your boss needs to be, spoken to, whether it's, confrontations, usually not great. But I think in a lot of ways it shows you care, right, to your boss. Like, hey, listen, I'm noticing this. Like, people that don't say anything, number one, it's not healthy mentally, right? Because you're always wondering what could be happening. Am I getting fired? All that pressure. And if you never have that conversation, you're just probably not sleeping well. You're probably having stress. It's probably affecting all kinds of other things in your life. If you just had the guts to go and have the conversation, you probably will find out it is not as nearly as bad as you thought it was, and your boss actually appreciates the fact that you care enough to have that conversation. So I thought that was a really good point by you, and it's something that a lot of people don't learn until it's too late, and maybe they do get fired, but because they were afraid to have that confrontation, to where they can take that constructive criticism and get better and feel better and start to like their job a little bit more, I guess.
Yep.
All right, so we're rounding the corner here, Pete, and we've got one more question here.
We got through questions for the first time ever.
Yes.
I think.
Well, we'll see if this one goes 3 hours or not. But this is from Selling Better Sleep in Georgia. Pete, I work in a mattress store. I'm fairly new to the industry. I've been selling mattresses for a few years now. I saw that your new book is out, but I can't find it anywhere. And then I read that it's being published on February 17th. So how did they get those books? Please let me know if it publishes sooner. I want to open my own mattress store. What advice can you give me?
Oh, wow. That's cool. So who was I talking to before?
Well, so I had this one queued up, and you said, "Hey, Chris, can you pull that up?" And I had to scroll back up. So the one before was Petrified in Pennsylvania. That was afraid of perhaps losing their job. This is a question from Selling Better Sleep in Georgia.
Okay. Awesome. So the reason you've been seeing people hanging out with this book is they're part of my launch team. So I printed 35 of these books, basically, in small quantities, and it cost me a fortune. And those books were distributed to some people who are important to me and to all the authors of the book, the Mark Klingenbergs and the Jeff Janakovos and the Scott Vaughns of the world and Brent Battermans of the world that actually contributed to the book. So that's why you see some of the activity that you've probably seen in Mattress Industry Network group. This is my actual website. A lot of people don't even know I have a website. Just it's peteprimeau.com. We're going to launch on February 17th. We're going to have a special Pete Primeau show for that at noon Eastern on February 17th. So that's why. And I'm sorry if it created some confusion. It has with quite a few people. And if I had any more advanced copies, I would be glad to send you one, but I'm completely out. The last one actually went to my producer, Chris Stone, who it should arrive later today.
Oh, okay. Wow. Surprise. Love it.
So I am really, really glad to hear that you're having success. And I'm really happy that you want to own your own store. So the fact that you want to own your own store is really super important. And you're not going to like what I'm about to say, because I want you to concentrate on being the employee that you would want to hire and that you would want to work with. So if you find yourself giving your boss some grief about something, think twice. You're about to be him or her in a few short years. and think about how you're conducting your affairs. Are you acting like a store owner? When you meet reps who you will be buying from in the next few years, are you conducting your affairs in a way that makes that rep want to do business with you? Or are you whining and complaining about every little thing that goes wrong, and things do go wrong, and him or her, the rep, kind of think of you as just another whiny little salesperson at a store? Or do they see you as someone who's dignified and professional and committed to their craft? And it's no surprise when they get the phone call from you saying, by the way, I'm opening my own store and I'd like to talk to you about putting your products on. So everything that you say and you do with everybody should be through the lens that I am a store owner. Now, here's the biggest trick of all. This is going to be worth millions of dollars. So you want to write this down. And anybody who's thinking about owning their own store, you have to wear those shoes before you actually do. Mentally, emotionally, in every way, every physical action, every word that comes out of your mouth, everything that you let enter into your mind is through the lens that I own a sleep shop. I own a mattress store. I am an owner. To yourself, not to sell it to anybody else, to yourself. And how would that change your performance? Well, you'll probably double your sales. And so you're good. You said you're good. I'm going to take you at your word that you're good. So you're good. You don't want to be good when you own your own business. Do you want to know what you want to be? No, you don't want to be great. You want to be Nick Saban Elite. And Google Nick Saban Elite speech, or just go to YouTube, Nick Saban Elite speech. You can be bad. You can be average. You can be good. You can be great. Or you can be elite. And elite means that everything you say and do every day goes towards that goal of you being a mattress store owner. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
I was Googling Nick Saban Elite. So.
It's a great speech. It's just like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really good. You could actually play it. And while he's looking for that,
well, I can't because we'll get struck on YouTube for
we don't
stealing
want to do that. This book is for a store owner. Sell 1 million, 101 tips for furniture and mattress store owners. Sell another $1 million this year. Don't let your owner see you reading this book. Keep it at home. This book, you can let him or her see you reading in the store, and they'll be thankful for it because you will sell more. And more than that, it will put you on a path to become an elite. I knew that I wanted to be a rep before. When I started selling retail, basically the program was, I'm going to learn how to sell. It'll take 1 or 2 years, and then I'll get really good at that. And then I'll become a sales rep. Well, it took me 9 years. Now, the first 7, I just fell in love with retail sales. So I was just going to do it the rest of my life. But the nights, the weekends, the holidays made me want to I was never afraid to work. I work more now than I ever did in retail. Way more. There's never getting any way away from my work. And it's because of me. It's my choice. And it's my compulsion to overserve my dealers and my incessant need to win. That makes me that way. And I don't recommend it for people. I believe all those wonderful things that people say about being balanced. I'm not balanced. I'm not even close to being balanced. But really look at this through the lens of I'm a store owner. And when you do that, it's going to help you really get to this elite level. And the most important skill you'll have as a store owner is to be able to sell, because you will be your very first salesperson. Until you get enough sales in there to cover all the bills and then pay for a salesperson, you're the salesperson. And so you need to plow every bit of energy you can into becoming the very best retail salesperson that you possibly can be. And I would really, really network. I would make my competitors my friends. I would make every sales rep that walks through there my friend. I would look at this as this is my future, and I'm going to pull it into my existence and my reality right now. I'm going to step into it right now. And so when it happens, it's going to be easy. You know, a lot of people don't know this. Justin Trumbo, who owns BedTech Midwest, probably one of the most accomplished lease negotiators that I have ever met in 43 years. I mean, some of the in-depth conversations I've had with him on negotiating leases, just rarefied air, super incredible. Well, if Justin, you know, you're in Georgia, you might be buying BedTech bed bases. Justin might come into your store. Understand that that man that just walked into your store could help you negotiate a lease. He could help you 100 different ways. Not only does he own BedTech Midwest, but he's a consultant. He has his own consultant business, and he's probably one of the best sales trainers. Him and Bob Munkle have actually formed their own company. And I'm sorry that I don't know the name. I think it's All About Mattresses or Everything Mattress. Between those two guys, you would have all the answers before you needed them. And that's the key to being successful. You have to get the skills and the abilities before you need them. And I will add this, you're very lucky and you're very blessed that you love the business enough that you want to own a store. You are now learning on someone else's dime instead of your own dime. Yep. That's thank you. Oh, Chris, you're the best. Thank you for pulling that up, because those guys there
all in one mattressexperts.com.
Allinone mattressexperts.com. Those are absolutely great. And Scott Stencil is, when you want to talk about internet marketing, oh my Lord, that rarefied air. So between those three guys, you've got something special going on there. So make sure that everything you do is pointing towards the ultimate goal that you have. And what you're going to notice is the owner that you work for is going to start looking at you differently, because you're selling more and you're selling it more profitably. He sees you investing in yourself. He sees you getting better. He sees all this. And guess what? You may not know this, but he might be getting ready to sell that store. He might sell that very store to you. And then every bit of blood, sweat, and tears that you poured into this store for the last 5 years, you will be rewarded for. How about that? No guarantee it's going to happen, but it could happen. You never know. I have been so surprised when dealers have told me, well, closing it down, tried to sell it, couldn't sell it, or I just sold my business. I had no, they were 50 or 60 years old. They looked healthy to me, and I had no reason for them to sell it, but they sold it. And a lot of sales that I see are made to people that work there. So don't think it doesn't happen. Don't count on it necessarily, but do everything you can to be that person that you should be, to be worthy of owning your own store and being successful at owning your own store. Sorry, I went off on a crazy tangent and I'm a little bit shy of 2 hours.
Just a little bit. Pete, amazing show as always. And, I've told you this before. I don't have to be in the mattress industry to learn something from you. And lots of great nuggets of wisdom that I get from producing this particular show. Thanks, as always. And for those who have stuck with us this long, if you have any questions and you're not able to catch this live, feel free to email Pete Primeau at ameritech.net. Put Ask Pete in the subject line. We will get that question in. And when we go live and do Ask Pete's, we actually will pull in those questions live from the studio audience. Do they even refer to that as studio audience anymore? No, it's not really. It's virtual audience.
The world is our studio.
That's right. Oh, there you go. What a great way to end the show. Pete, I'll let you put a bow on it.
Hey, everybody, enjoy market, have a blast, and travel safely. And until I see you again, sell a million.